With me now is the businessman Arron Banks, who's been a strong supporter both of UKIP, of Leave UK, and also of the Grassroots Out campaign, which were, of course, successful in the referendum. One of those who would be happy to have a short-term economic price for the freedom, as you see it, of leaving the European Union.
That's correct.
Do you think it is happening, that there is an economic price?
I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I think we have to. We haven't even left yet, and already the kind of doomsdayers are sort of complaining about what's happening. I mean, the pound's been in a bear market for the best part of 2 years. The FTSE's at near record highs. I don't see the signs of. I mean,
Alistair Darling, they're saying that precisely it would be the moment when we leave, when we see the shock.
Well, I just don't believe that to be the case. We heard all the Project Fear warnings before, didn't we?
Bit of an irony, though, that the better off for the people who benefited so far from the moves, and the people who were your grassroots army, if you like, they're facing high prices in the shops.
But why did we vote out? It's the people left behind by globalisation and, you know, the kind of economy we're.
But they're losing out more. That's
well, you say that, but it's a long-run thing. I mean, you can't say, well, this month to that month you do better or worse. I mean, people talk about food prices going up as an example. You know, outside of the European Union, we'll probably see a reduction in household bills of 8 to 9% on food.
Now, how far do you think we need to go outside of the European Union? Do we need to stay in the single market? Do we need to stay in the customs union?
Well, look, David Cameron made it pretty clear, didn't he, that leave meant leaving the single market. He said that on a number of occasions. So did George Osborne. Leaving means leaving the single market.
And the customs
union? It's only politicians that are kind of confusing the issue, really. It was pretty clear on the ballot, leave or remain. The single market is the European Union, and to leave it is to leave the single market.
So will you carry on campaigning for that?
Absolutely. Yeah, in our ideal world, we have a tariff-free country, low corporation tax, and we'll do rather well.
One of the things that you and I clashed on Twitter was the whole question of whether there was an increase in upsurge in sort of racist incidents after the Brexit vote. We've now got figures from the police saying there was a 41% increase.
From what to what?
In incidents. Well, racist or religious incidents recorded by the police in England and Wales jumped 41% in the month after the UK voted to quit the EU, figures show. Now, those are the crimes.
I think our argument on Twitter, if I remember correctly, because you're dredging back into history here, Adam, but my argument was that the media, by putting a spotlight on it, was actually, you know, probably increasing more instances of it.
You don't think you've seen, as I would say I have, more, and from my, you know, European and friends who non-British friends, that there is more tension in the air now?
Well, I haven't found it in Thornbury, South Gloucestershire. Maybe in your neck of the woods you've seen a massive upswing of it. Again, I think in general the British public are pretty tolerant, and I think there's always been a racist element, and maybe it did encourage it a little bit, but the media kind of relentlessly focusing on it probably. I mean,
if there was more kind of nativism, would that be a problem?
Naked nativism? Sorry?
Nativism. Nativism. I mean, more of an assertion of a British identity against foreigners.
I think it's something that's sweeping the world, actually. It's not just about the UK. I think there is a move towards a more strident kind of nationalism. I'm not for that.
Does that upset you?
It doesn't necessarily upset me, but I'm not for it.
I mean, you're not an American. Are you rooting for Donald Trump?
Well, we obviously went to Mississippi and saw the Donald in action with Nigel. And what amazed me was that at that rally, when we went and spoke to the people afterwards, the number of non-voters there were. It was very similar to Brexit. I think the polls don't pick up the non-voters, and for that reason I think it's going to be very close, and I think, you know, Trump probably will win.
And will there be a role for Nigel Farage, do you think, advising Mr. Trump?
Good relations? I don't know.
Now, what about UKIP? Because you pretty much kept it afloat for a while financially, and now it hasn't got offices, it's going bankrupt. Are there going to be any more?
That's a sweeping statement. I'm reliably told they've got £300,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
So after an election, you should be able to
you know more about it than me. I think their liabilities are greater than their assets. But are you going to go on bailing them out?
I think at the moment, I'm not going to deny UKIP's in a hell of a mess. I think Labour Party's in a hell of a mess. And I think the whole referendum process, apart from the Tories, who are natural ruthless sharks and took advantage of it, the other parties are in a fair degree of trouble. trouble.
Do you have a candidate who's still in the race?
I don't have a candidate in the race. I don't think there is a race. Paul Nuttall will win. And I struggle to wonder whether he will sort the problems out that we've had in the party.
Would you support Paul Nuttall?
I certainly like Paul, but I struggle with the fact that he's got a lot of problems to deal with, and I don't know if he's got the strength to deal with them.
And you would prefer, what, the forthcoming of Nigel Farage to take back?
I don't like the way you say that, Adam.
What do you mean?
The forthcoming of Nigel Farage. I mean, I think Nigel's done his bit. He's retired. I think he himself has said the only time he would come back is if Mrs May kind of flunked Brexit. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to see him again. So I think that's good.
So where does that leave? So you don't think he's going to come back?
I don't think so. But you never can tell, can you?
But where does that leave UKIP?
I mean, in the space of 3 months, we've had 3 different candidates. One won, one punched another guy. It's a pretty sad state of affairs.
So what's going to happen to the party?
I don't really know. But what I do know is it's a bit early to be writing off as an anti-establishment party. I think there's still a big role for that kind of party.
And as far as your efforts go, where are you going to devote your...
At the moment, we're just waiting to see what happens and how the thing pans out.
And you've got a new book coming out as well.
I've got a new book, which is going to keep the lawyers pretty busy, I would suggest.
But what's it called? Bad Boys of Brexit.
Yeah.
Well, Isabel Oakeshott, who helped you with that, will be joining us later on. Thank you very much, Steve, for being with us.
Cheers.